Here's Joseph weeping, even as Jesus wept. Jesus wept on 2 occasions, we're told in the gospel story. One in a cemetery at the tomb of Lazarus. Jesus wept for his friend. The second time over a city, the city of Jerusalem. Jesus wept and cried, wanted to gather Jerusalem to his side, but they wouldn't. So here Joseph, like Jesus, is weeping. Joseph is weeping. He cares so deeply, but, watch this, he does not yet reveal himself to these his brothers. His heart was pounding, his stomach was churning, his eyes were teary. He was emotionally engaged. Why didn't he? Because there was still work to do. There was still testing to take place. See, Jesus passionately wants to be with you. And Jesus passionately wants to be with me. He loves us. We are his bride, his espoused bride. When you were in love and you asked that gal to marry you, you can recall, man, you can remember, oh, I just can't wait until we're man and wife when we can share our lives together. Constantly experience intimacy, have ecstasy, love, passion, friendship, all those things. That's the way Jesus feels about us. Well, then why doesn't he come and get us? If he cares that much about us, if he's that much in love with us, why is he still hiding like Joseph was hiding from these men in his disguise? Why is Jesus in disguise not coming back for us? There's still work to do. That's why. You see, Jesus is in heaven preparing a place for us. John 14 says, I go to prepare what? A place for you. But he's also preparing us for the place. There's still work to do. Do you realize that there's still work to do in your life? He has deemed, he has determined, he has discerned that we're not quite ready. There's still some work to be done. When we're ready, he'll take us home. Either rapture us up or he'll take us away through death. When the time is right, when the work that he wants to do has come to completion, then he'll take us home one way or the other. But if you're still left, and I'm still left too, that means there's still work that he wants to do, not just through us, but he wants to do some more work on us. There's still some testing. There's still some junk that needs to be dealt with. Some preparations that need to be made in my life. Even as he's preparing heaven for me, he's now preparing me for heaven. There's work to do. He loves me passionately. See, I'm absolutely secure in that fact. I know that to be so. I know the Word, and I've walked with the Lord, and I don't doubt his passion for me at all. I used to. I don't anymore. But this I do know, even like Joseph here felt passion for his younger brother Benjamin and for the family, yet he could not yet reveal himself because there was still work to be done. There was still work to do. There's still work to do with you and with me as well. So he wants to reveal himself, and yet he knows that the process has not yet run its full course. So he goes away and he washes his face, verse 31, and then he returns to them. He refrained himself and said, set on bread, let's have communion. Set on bread. And they set on for him by himself, and for them by themselves. Joseph sat over here and the rest sat over there. Why? He wasn't sitting at their table. Why? Because the Egyptians did eat by themselves, because the Egyptians might not eat bread with the Hebrews. It is an abomination for the Egyptians to eat with the Hebrews. So in order to maintain his disguise, he would have to do that as well, sit over with the other Egyptians, you see. They just didn't eat together, kind of like, a junior higher doesn't eat with a fifth grader. It doesn't work. There's this discrimination, They sat before him, the firstborn according to his birthright, and the youngest according to his youth. And the men marveled one at another. So Joseph here, he sits them down, starting with the oldest, Reuben, and going right down the row. He puts them in birth order. He puts these 11 brothers in birth order. And these guys say, hey, what in the world? How did he do that? How does he know that? They marveled. And he took, verse 34, Joseph did, and sent messes unto them. Now, that's food. When I was single, well, I won't go into that right now. I could tell you a lot of stories about my kids' reactions. But the mess doesn't mean mess. In our sense, it means food. He sent messes before them. But Benjamin's mess was 5 times more than any of theirs. Interesting. Benny got 5 times more than the others. Why was Joseph doing this? He wanted to see and observe their reaction. Because remember when Joseph got the big coat, the big sleeves? What was the reaction of the older brothers? Envy, jealousy, hostility, anger. Now Joseph, you see, that's why he can't reveal himself yet. He wants to see, have these older brothers really repented? Have they really changed? Or are they the same as they were when they dealt with me, when I was the younger brother? And they were jealous and envious and angry and hostile and brutal. So he puts 5 times more food in front of Benjamin to see what their reaction might be. You see, the Lord will see, if you would, the changes that have taken place in my life by how I react to my brothers, not just when they're hurting, but when they're succeeding. It's easy to weep with those who weep. It's harder to rejoice with those who rejoice. What do you mean? If somebody had a tragedy, a catastrophe, a problem, most of us can feel a certain amount of sympathy rather easily. But if somebody has everything going their way, seems like they get all the breaks and they get all the good blessings, it's a little bit tougher sometimes for some of us to rejoice with those that rejoice. You'll know that a deep work has taken place when you not only weep with those who weep, but rejoice with those that rejoice and don't feel envious. Well, he drinks and is merry with them. And he commanded, verse 1, the steward of his house, saying, fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry, and put every man's money in his sack's mouth. Fill up their sacks with food, put the money back in again. Now watch this, verse 2. And put my cup. Whose cup? Joseph's cup. Put my cup, the silver cup. Silver? What would silver signify? Silver is the metal that speaks of, in the Bible, redemption. It would also be, as we shall see the story unfold, a reminder of their sin. Because they sold Joseph for what? Silver. 20 pieces of silver. Now watch this. This is great. The plot thickens. Joseph here, who called them into his house, who was merry with them, who provided for them, now Joseph says, send them on their way. Take my cup. What cup? Remember what Jesus would pray in the Garden of Gethsemane? Father, if it be possible, let this what? Cup pass from me. You see, in Egypt, the silver cup was called the divining cup. And important people, rulers of the nation, would have a silver cup which spoke of their authority, and they would use it to divine or determine God's will. The silver cup, the Chinese would read tea leaves, or the Japanese or whatever. The Irish look for a 4-leaf clover. Well, in Egypt, they had a divining cup. It was a silver cup. It was to determine what they should do. Now think with me, if you would. Jesus says, Father, if it be possible, let this cup, which is the cup of suffering, the cup that he was to drink, the cross, the blood that would be shed, let this cup, redemption, silver cup, if you would, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not what? My will, but thy will be done. The divining cup. Thy will be done, Father, thy will. Redemption. Even as Jesus would be sold for silver, so was Joseph. Yet there was a plan of redemption. The cup. The divining cup. What's your will, Father? Let your will be done as I hold this cup symbolically to you. Let this cup pass from me. Put my cup. Put my divining cup. My cup of authority. The silver cup. Put it in the sack of the youngest. Who was the youngest? Benjamin. And his money too. So this servant did according to the word that Joseph had spoken. And as soon as the morning was light, the men were sent away, they and their asses. And when they were gone out of the city, not yet far off, Joseph said unto his steward, Get up, follow after that man. Turn on your sirens and overtake them. Oh. Go after him. And when you catch up with them, say, Wherefore have you rewarded evil for good? Why have you done this evil thing when we were good to you? Is not this in which my Lord drinketh, and whereby indeed he divineth? You have done evil in so doing. And so, that was the instruction. All part of Joseph's plan. Put this cup in the sack, and then go after him. And tell him, why have you taken the divining cup? The cup. The cup. So, verse 6, he did that. This servant did. He overtook them. And he spoke to those brothers these same words. And they said to him, Wherefore saith my Lord these words? What are you talking about? God forbid that thy servant should do according to this thing. You're accusing us of taking his divining cup? You're crazy. Behold, verse 8, the money which we found in our sacks' mouths, we brought again unto thee. We gave you the money we found previously. How then should we steal out of thy Lord's house silver or gold? With whomever of thy servants it be found, both let him die, and we will also be my Lord's bondmen. Hey, if your cup is with us, whoever has that cup, let him die, and we'll be your slaves. That's crazy. We didn't take your master's divining cup. We wouldn't do that. Why would we do that? We brought back the money we found in our sacks previously. We're not thieves. We wouldn't do this kind of evil. And he said, verse 10, Now also let it be according unto your words. He with whom it is found shall be my servant, and you shall be blameless. In other words, he says, no, I'm not going to kill the person that has your cup, or has the cup, pardon me. I'll just make him a slave, and the rest of you can go free. Then, they speedily, verse 10, took down every man his sack to the ground, and they opened up every man his sack, and he searched, and began at the eldest, and then he went all the way through these 11 brothers, and there was no cup, no cup, no cup, no cup. And he went to the youngest, Benjamin, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Now what are they going to do? They rent their clothes. That's what they did. They tore their clothes and they laded every man his ass and returned to the city. Oh, no. Now, what did the steward say? Hey, you can go free. Just the one who stole the cup is going to be my slave. Another test. What are you going to do now, boys? You can go free. But it means Benjamin would go down into Egypt as what? What did they do with Joseph? They sent Joseph down to Egypt as a slave. See, Joseph is testing them again. Now what are you going to do? Oh, at the table I gave Benny 5 times more food to see if you were envious. You passed that test. But now what are you going to do? Are you going to let him be taken into slavery that you can go free? Or are you going to jeopardize your own lives and stand with Benny? What are you going to do? Now, quickly, prophecy students. This cup. Where was the cup found? In the sack of whom? Benjamin. Zechariah chapter 12 says something that's interesting about a cup. It says there's to be a cup of trembling. Just like Benjamin here, when the cup was seen in his sack, it caused the brothers to what? To tremble. They were afraid. The cup of trembling. There it is in the sack. Oh no, they tear their clothes. They're distraught. They're disconcerted. Oh no, they're trembling with fear. Zechariah 12 says there's going to be another cup of trembling. The cup of trembling is, does anyone recall? Jerusalem. Where is the city of Jerusalem located? Israel, right. But I mean, what tribe is it in? It's in the tribe of Benjamin. All very interesting to me. The cup of trembling that Zechariah talks about, Jerusalem. That's going to cause all nations to tremble and all nations to stumble. It's in the tribe of Benjamin. The cup of trembling, just like the cup here in our story, is in the sack of Benjamin. And it's causing great troubling in the brothers and great repercussions amongst the nations. What nations? The sons of Jacob and the who? Egyptians. Egypt is a type of what? The world. Oh, I wish I could just explore this with you. You're saying don't think about it, but it's perfect. The trembling that Benjamin felt is a picture of what's going to be, what is already starting to happen right now, presently. Well, they rent their clothes, verse 13. Oh no, it's in Benjamin's sack. And Judah and his brethren came to Joseph's house, for he was yet there. They fell before him on the ground, I guess so. And Joseph said, what deed is this that you have done? Wot ye not that such a man as I can certainly divine? Don't you know that I knew what you were up to in stealing my silver cup? And Judah said, what shall we say to my Lord? What shall we speak? How shall we clear ourselves? God hath found out the iniquity of Benjamin. No. God hath found out the iniquity of whom? Thy servants. Right. This is it. Judah didn't say, what can we say? Our little brother here botched it. Yeah, sorry, Benny. You're a slave. Judah here says, we've sinned. The chickens are coming home to roost. What we have sown, we are now reaping. He is confessing that they, the older brothers, are sinners. And what they are now getting is what they deserve to get. They're not sending Benjamin to the wolves. They're acknowledging we're in this jam because we've been bad apples. We've blown it. Interesting. And now he begins this marvelous confession, this wonderful intercession. Judah said, what can we say? Verse 16, what shall we speak? How can we clear ourselves? God has found out the iniquity of thy servants. Behold, we are my Lord's servants, both we and he also, Benjamin, with whom the cup is found. And he said, God forbid that I should do so, but the man in whose hand the cup is found, he shall be my servant. The steward told us that. And as for you, speaking to us, we can get up and go our way to our father. But Judah came near and would say, Oh, my Lord, let thy servant speak, I pray thee. Speak a word in my Lord's ears. Let not thine anger burn against thy servant. You are even as Pharaoh. You're equal to Pharaoh. My Lord asked his servant, saying, Have you a father or a brother? And we said unto my Lord, We have a father, an old man, and a child of his old age, a little one, Benjamin. And his brother is dead. And he alone is left of his mother, and his father loveth him. And thou sayest unto thy servants, Bring him down to me, that I may set my eyes upon him. And we said unto my Lord, The lad cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die. And you said to your servants, verse 23, Except your youngest brother come down with you, you shall see my face no more. By the way, unless your brother comes down, you shall see my face no more. Benjamin is also a type of Christ Jesus. Why? Remember when he was born, what did his mother name him? When he was born, when Rachel was birthing him, when Rachel was birthing Benjamin, Rachel had already birthed Joseph. That was her oldest birth son. And then comes Benjamin. And as she birthed him, what did she say? She said, His name shall be Benoni, which means son of sorrow. Because she died in birthing him. And Dad grabbed him after Rachel died, and Dad grabbed this baby as Rachel died in childbirth that day. He shall not be Benoni, he shall be Benjamin, son of my right hand. Jesus is the man of sorrows. Son of sorrow, Benoni. Son of sorrows. Son of sorrows who bore the sin of the world. The man of sorrows. But he's also at the right hand of the Father. For after he died for the sins of the world, what happened? He was resurrected and he ascended into heaven. And he sits at the right hand of the Father. Benjamin is a picture too, like his older brother Joseph. He's a picture of Jesus as well. Benoni, Benjamin. That's why he had the silver cup. That's why it was in Benjamin's sack, because it would be Jesus that would hold the cup of redemption, you see. And this phrase interests me, that you're not going to see my face unless Benjamin comes down. And we cannot see the face of our Father in heaven. We can have no relationship with the King of all creation unless Jesus had come down and died for our sins. Come down where? To Egypt. Come down to the world and paid the price. It came to pass, he goes on to say, verse 24, when we came up unto thy servant my father, we told him the words of my Lord. And our father said, Go again and buy a little food. And we said, We cannot go down. If our youngest brother be with us, then we can go down. For we may not see the man's face, except our youngest brother be with us, Benjamin. And thy servant my father said, You know that my wife bore me 2 sons. Rachel bore me 2 sons, Joseph and Benjamin. And one went out from me. And I said, Surely he is torn in pieces. That's what the brothers had told their dad, didn't they? Joseph had been torn in pieces by wild beasts that day. You know this. One is torn in pieces. I saw him not since. If you take this one from me, Benjamin, and mischief befalls him. Implication. I don't trust you guys. You're mischief makers. You shall bring down my gray hairs with sorrow to the grave. Oh, now therefore, verse 30, when I come to thy servant, my father, and the lad be not with us. Here he is, Judah still talking to Joseph. Oh, if the lad's not with us, seeing that his life is bound up in the lad's life. The father's life is bound up in whose life? The son's life. And the son's life is bound up in the father's life. Oh boy. I won't go there right now, but my goodness. It shall come to pass, verse 31, when Dad, Jacob, sees the lad is not with us, he will die. And thy servant shall bring down the gray hairs of thy servant our father with sorrow to the grave. If you don't let Benjamin go, our father will die from sorrow. And Judah goes on to say, thy servant me, Judah, became surety for the lad unto my father, saying, if I bring him not to thee, then I shall bear the blame to my father forever. Now therefore I pray thee, let thy servant abide instead of the lad a bondman to my Lord. All be your slave, but let Benjamin go. Let me serve you. All be a slave here perpetually. Let Benjamin go. For how shall I go up to my father, and the lad be not with me, lest peradventure I see evil that shall come upon my father? This is so glorious. It's a beautiful intercessory prayer from the lips of Judah to Joseph. He shows two things here. Number one, he shows a love for his father, and he shows, number two, a loyalty to his brother. Judah shows he loves his dad. I can't let dad go through this. And he shows loyalty to Benjamin, and I won't let Benjamin stay here in slavery. Oh, Joseph, hearing this. I'll only look at a couple more verses and we'll be through, believe me. But look at this. And Joseph, verse 1, could not refrain himself before all of them that stood by him. And he cried. I mean, this guy breaks down. This is the second time he cries. Jesus cried twice, didn't he? And now Joseph cries again. And Joseph caused every man to go out from him. All the servants, all the armed guards, all the aides that were there. Flee, he said, beat it. And there stood no man with him, while Joseph now made himself known unto his brethren, and he wept aloud. And the Egyptians heard, and Pharaoh heard. I mean, this guy is really wailing. I mean, he's weeping, and Judah's intercession, Judah's prayer touched him. Judah's prayer touched him. Judah's prayer, caring about his brother, loving on his father, caused Joseph, he could refrain no longer. Judah, yes, you passed the test, Judah. You passed the test. You didn't allow Benjamin to be held in slavery. You do care about your father. You have confessed your sin. And Joseph was moved. You want to know how to move the heart of your Lord? Pray. Confess your sin. Acknowledge your love for his father, our father. And be loyal to your brother. Pray for people. Care about people.